Hey guys, this is Candle, and welcome to the first of the PlayStation videos. Yes, we're going to be taking a look at PlayStation 1 and PS2 collections today, so may as well start off with this. You've already seen it in two other videos of mine. Actually, you saw it twice in the last video. It is, of course, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone for the PS1. I actually don't know too much about this version of the game. I've never really played it. I know it's kind of similar to the PC version, but also different. That's all I know about it. Anyways, you guys can probably already figure I love Squaresoft, I love Square Enix, and I also enjoy the good what's the word I'm looking for? Scary, yeah, survival horror. Yeah, I also like the odd survival horror game, and once upon a time, Squaresoft decided to try their hand at it. So of course I have Parasite Eve 1 and 2. If I can angle these so correctly so you can see them without the glare. There we go. Very, very interesting games. Parasite Eve 1 in particular also includes the 1998 collector's CD from Squaresoft, which has demos, playable demos for Xenogears, as well as trailers for Bushido Blade 2, Brave Fencer Musashi, and Final Fantasy 8. And then Parasite Eve 2 doesn't have anything like that. It's just a standard 2-disc game. I also have Metal Gear Solid. My case is a little banged up, but it still works. You're gonna notice a lot of my PS1 games have the greatest hits, because there are a lot of great games on the PS1 that sold really well. I don't like how the green and the red look, but you win some, you lose some. But yeah, I do have Metal Gear Solid, excellent tactical espionage action game. Yeah, one of the first stealth games available, one of the first big stealth games available. And I do have the complete thing here, which is really good because the game, I don't know if it was intended as copy protection or just as like a fourth wall break, but there is a point in the game where you have to use you have to figure out like the actual frequency for something to call somebody on your communicator, and it tells you to look at the back of the box. And there's no box in game that corresponds to that. What they actually mean is the back of the actual game box. So if you buy this without the case, you have to look that up online, which kind of sucks. Good news is when they included it for the PlayStation Classic, which I unfortunately do not have, but when they included it for the PlayStation Classic, this is actually the screenshot they used to represent Metal Gear Solid on the back of the Classic box. So that's a nice nod for it. So I talked about Sword of Mana in the last video, and here I have Legend of Mana. This was like the first big Mana game to reach the West. The very first one was Secret of Mana, but this was the next one after that. And unfortunately, I've never really played this. I know this is one of the ones where, like in Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, where you can plop down the different icons on the map to actually choose where locations are in relation to each other. And that I always found was a little odd, but yeah, Legend of Mana, really good to have. Another Legend game I have is The Legend of Dragoon. Does anybody remember this game? This was from Sony directly. This was Sony Computer Entertainment. They were trying to take on Final Fantasy, and unfortunately, my case is a little banged up. That happens sometimes. But I do have all four discs here. I don't know if these are the discs that originally came with this version, because this is the greatest hits version, and most greatest hits games have these really plain looking discs. Like Metal Gear Solid is just the logo, and that's pretty much it. Whereas, my copy of Legend of Dragoon, it's got like the full like light scribed everything on there, the full image and everything. So I never got too far into this game though. I really do need to get back into that. Next up are some of the games that I have Let's Played before. We have the original 1996 Tomb Raider, as well as Tomb Raider 2. Really good games. If I can grab them real quick. Here we go. I do have the rest of the Tomb Raider games available on the PS1. Now, this is the game that broke me and made me take like a 2-year hiatus from YouTube because of the really harsh save system involved in it. And this is Tomb Raider 3. I am planning on giving this another go as a Let's Play sometime in the future, but it's going to be the PC version, which is much more freely allowed to save and so on via like quick saves and stuff. Because the problem with the save system in this one is that it requires use of a consumable item that you can find in the maps. There's only a set number of them, so you can only save a set number of times, and So even though you can save anywhere, you can only save a set number of times. And for a game that's so strict about the platforming and everything, yeah, that really kind of sucks. But I do also have Tomb Raider 4, The Last Revelation on the PS1, as well as Tomb Raider 5 Chronicles. Now, what's interesting about the Tomb Raider franchise is it always seems to work in story arcs of 3. Like Tomb Raider 1 through Tomb Raider 3 are kind of a story arc. Actually, there's really not too much story involved in those, linking them together, but you know, it's from The Last Revelation onward that they really started doing different story arcs, like multi-game arcs, because Tomb Raider 4 ends with Lara dying. Tomb Raider 5 is kind of like flashbacks while like Lara's friends reminisce about her life as a Tomb Raider. And then Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness is the continuation of that story before they completely rebooted it again for Tomb Raider Legend. However, unfortunately, I don't have the two previous games for this one, but I do have Wipeout 3. Ones I'm missing are Wipeout and Wipeout XL, but really, really good game here. You know, it's kind of like Mario Kart in the fact that you've got like different weapons and stuff that you can use in the races, and actually a lot like F-Zero in the fact that like the actual tracks like go like really, really weird directions, kind of like Mario 8 as well. But the PS1 was really, really good about doing different trilogies, because here's another really excellent one, and that's actually just got a full remake not too long ago. I have Spyro the Dragon. I have Spyro 2, Ripto's Rage, where the European name is much, much better. Spyro 2, Return to Glimmer, or something like that. And Spyro 3, Year of the Dragon, which I can't believe it took them that long to name it Year of the Dragon. But I think this one actually came out in 2000, when it actually really was the Chinese Year of the Dragon. Yeah, 2000. Really, really good 3D character platformers for the year here, there, though. Yeah, getting a little bit tongue-tied. But I mentioned my love of survival horror games earlier, and one of my absolute favorites is Silent Hill. I want to do a Let's Play of this one. My problem is that it requires tank controls. There's no options to change it. And while for Silent Hill it's not as bad compared to, say, the early Resident Evil games, because there's quite a bit of times in this game where the camera is positioned behind the camera. It's almost like a free camera, rather than being locked into fixed camera angles. Those do still exist as well, and that's always what trips me up with tank controls, that I can't stand them. Like, I'm fine with Tomb Raider's tank controls because the camera is positioned behind Lara, so whenever I turn right, Lara's actually turning to the right side of the screen and so on. But when you have fixed camera angles, their character could be facing the camera. You press right on the D-pad expecting them to move to the right side of the screen, and they end up turning towards the left. And I always end up thinking that's really weird. But back to the JRPGs, and this is one I have sadly never really played. I remember starting it up a couple times, but I never got far into it. No more than like maybe half an hour. And that is Xenogears. And this is the progenitor of, you know, the Xenosaga games, which I absolutely adore, and the Xenoblade games as well. But beyond that, I also have It's Back! Pong, the next level. Yeah, this is just Pong. There's like different modes and so on. It's Pong in 3D. That's all it is. All right. I guess we may as well talk about the elephant in the room, or rather the large collection. I have Final Fantasy VII, which I do not like as much as the later games. I am looking forward to the remake, though, and I don't understand why people get hung up on Square Enix's plans to split it into 3 games, like, you know, make it episodic, because the game was episodic to begin with. Sure, you got everything in a complete package all at once, but it was split onto 3 discs. You know, you just break up the story into those same chunks. So I don't know why people are so against that, but yeah, Final Fantasy VII, definitely not one of my favorites in the franchise, but still an enjoyable game. I've actually been trying to play it again recently as well. I also have Final Fantasy VIII, which is one of the ones I haven't actually beaten yet. I've gotten as far as I think the very start of disc 4, I think, is the furthest I got, and then for some reason I kind of stopped. This one has something weird to it where the enemies scale to your levels. So if you end up grinding too much, that could actually be to your detriment, because the enemies can get super powerful as well. I also have, of course, Final Fantasy IX, which is the best Final Fantasy game ever made. Not my favorite 6, but it is the best one ever made. I've never actually beaten this one, though. I've gotten all the way up to the actual final boss of the game, the one that kind of comes out of nowhere, and he just ripped me a new one, and I always meant to go back to it and finish it. So maybe sometime in the future, I'll let's play the Final Fantasy franchise, and we'll actually finish that. But I also have Final Fantasy Tactics. I mentioned this a little bit in the last video talking about Tactics Advance. So this is a turn-based, isometric, like tactical strategy game. Really quite enjoyable. I've never gotten too far into this, though. I much prefer the PSP version, though. And of course, I have Final Fantasy Origins. This is the remastered versions of Final Fantasy 1 and 2, updating them from 8-bit to 16-bit graphics with CD quality audio. And this was actually the very first time Final Fantasy 2 was available in the West. And this is actually the first time Final Fantasy 1 and 2 were available in Europe as well. So you have them both on one disc. That's really nice. Next up is Final Fantasy Anthology, which is different from the European version because this is 5 and 6. These are actually the worst versions of these games to play, though. 6, the problem is, the addition of loading screens versus the original ROM-based cartridge. And for 5, the translation is just so shitty. It is worse. It is worse than fan translations available at the time, unfortunately. But you do have 5 and 6 in this, and the reason why I say it's different from the European version, because in Europe, Final Fantasy 6 was released on its own, I believe, and Final Fantasy Anthology included 4 and 5. But over here in the West, we got Final Fantasy Chronicles instead, which is Final Fantasy 4 and Chrono Trigger. Why they decided to bundle those two together, I don't exactly know. I do kind of get why they didn't want to update 3, because it's a little bit of an outlier, and you couldn't really bundle it well together with 4. They should have done a Final Fantasy trilogy instead of Final Fantasy Origins, where they actually ported 3 over, but they would have had to completely do the translation for that. At least for Final Fantasy 2, they already had a translation to get started from the canceled prototype and so on. But again, these are not the best versions of Final Fantasy IV to play. For Final Fantasy IV, I would say go to the PSP or the Steam version. And for Chrono Trigger, I would say either the DS or the Super Nintendo version would be best. Again, these games were originally on ROM-based cartridges, and now they're on discs, so that introduced like loading times and stuff like that. So it's not really great, even when they added in like CG and anime sequences and cutscenes and so on to try to boost that, but still not necessarily the best. However, I can't talk about Chrono Trigger on the PS1 without mentioning its amazing sequel, Chrono Cross. I'm definitely going to do a Let's Play of this at some point. Really, really good game. Whereas Chrono Trigger was all about time travel, Chrono Cross is all about parallel universes and multiple dimensions and stuff like that. And really, really, really fun game. Bit of a problem with all the enormous cast of characters that really aren't really worthwhile, but you win some, you lose some. So next up is the game with the absolute worst tutorial level ever with Driver, which I've never actually played. And then I also have Driver 2 as well. There is a third one. I don't know if it's available on the PS1 or not, but there's Driver 3, and then there's like Driver San Francisco, I think was the last one. But these are supposed to be good, like arcade, not really racing games, but like arcade driving games and stuff like that. So I got to give these a try at some point. And then to finish off the PS1 section, you got to hand it off to Crash Bandicoot. Now, unfortunately, I don't have all the Crash games on the PS1. I only have 2 of them. I have Crash 2 and I have Crash 3. I am missing, I have Crash 1 and Crash 3. I'm missing Crash 2 and CTR, Crash Team Racing. I'm not really a big fan of the Crash games. I much prefer Spyro, but, like I've been saying throughout this video, you win some, you lose some. Anyways, that is it for PS1. Now it is time to move on to PS2. And, well, let's start off with some JRPGs. Tales of the Abyss. I talked about it a little bit in the last video. This is still a really good version to play, so if you ever get a chance, do it. And then Tales of Legendia, which I really don't know anything about. I've never actually played it. So, yeah. I think Tales of the Abyss is held as the better Tales game on the PS2. I also have Star Ocean 3 Till the End of Time. This is the full, proper 2-disc set. Apparently, this is kind of rare right now as well. So it is the greatest hits version rather than the black label, but, can't win them all. Really, really good game. I've never actually beaten it, though. I do know what the twist ending is, though. That was spoiled for me a long time ago. But this is another series that I got to Let's Play at some point. So the people that made Spyro, I think... No, this was completely newcomers. Okay, so this is Sucker Punch. We've got Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus. We have Sly 2 Band of Thieves, and we have Sly 3 Honor Among Thieves. Really, really good character-driven platformers. I much prefer Sly 1 over Sly 2, but I do agree that Sly 3 is probably the best one. Let's see, what else? Ooh, we have Ico. Really, really good game. Can't really say too much about it. I don't really remember. I didn't even play the PS2 version. I played it on PS3, but still really, really good game. I have Harvest Moon Save the Homeland. Much like how A Wonderful Life changes the format from being like 2 to 3 years to 10. Save the Homeland only gives you 1, but I do think the calendar is a little bit longer than usual as well. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't actually really played this too much, though. This is one of the odd ones, though, because most PS2 games came on DVDs with normal silver backs, whereas a rare few came on CDs with these blue plastic rather than the black of the PS1 as well. So this one I think is, yeah, it's actual compact disc rather than on a DVD. I also have the PS2 version of Half-Life, which is a fairly decent port of the game, console port of the game. It's the only one to actually survive development, because there was supposed to be a console port of Half-Life for the Dreamcast, and that was going to include Blue Shift as well, but that got canceled because the Dreamcast died. However, this one actually includes the only Half-Life expansion I have never played because it's exclusive to this version and it's co-op, and that's Half-Life Decay. So I've never actually played Decay. Now, you can get a modified version of Decay on PC nowadays, but it's not official or anything like that. I also have God of War and God of War 2, excellent swan song to the PS2, and this is the 2-disc set. I don't know if this is the official box or not, but this is a 2-disc set, and I was kind of pissed off when I first got this because it had 2 discs in it, but the second disc wasn't actually the bonus disc. It was a God of War 2 demo disc for some reason, which I no longer have, unfortunately. So I ended up finding another copy of this that had both discs. So yeah, the second disc is like all the bonus features and stuff like that. Yeah, bonus DVD includes deleted levels, voices of God of War 2, God of War 2 the music, and bringing God of War 2 to life. So it's just like behind the scenes stuff for the most part. Probably will never Let's Play those, simply because YouTube is fairly strict about their nudity policy, and I don't know how to censor that kind of stuff out, and don't really have a desire to learn for games like this. Like, my editing skills are not great. I don't want to spend a lot of time forwarding them because I don't enjoy video editing, so that sucks. But unless YouTube changes their policy, I'm probably never gonna Let's Play those games, as excellent as they are. I might do the more recent one though, because that has like no nudity in it, and it is a soft reboot of the franchise, but I just won't probably do the older ones. Alright, I already talked about Silent Hill 1 earlier in the video, but I do also have Silent Hill 2, Silent Hill 3, Silent Hill 4 The Room, and somewhere, I think I have Origins as well somewhere. Where's that one? Where is it? Oh, I know that. Oh, here it is. So yeah, I also have Silent Hill Origins. Now, I do agree that Silent Hill 2 is a masterpiece, but Silent Hill 3 is my absolute favorite in the franchise. I really do love this. And this is actually a really cool version of it, because it also includes, in the back here, it's got the actual soundtrack for the game. And this game has a lot of really good music. And I remember popping this in my car and listening to it all the time, non-stop. However, Silent Hill 4 The Room, I was under the misinformation that this had originally started life as a different game, an entirely separate franchise. It's supposed to be brand new IP that got cannibalized into Silent Hill 4, but no, that's not actually true. It is a bit of an odd one as well, but it's not bad. What is not great, however, is when they handed the Silent Hill franchise off to Western developers and pretty much got rid of Team Silent, the original developers, between 1 through 4, and we ended up with Silent Hill Origins, which is not a very good game. They went back to try to explain things, and it doesn't really fit with the other Silent Hill games, unfortunately. Not too well, at least. But I also have... let's talk about this one. There we go. I do have the PS2 version of Okami. I talked about this a couple videos ago on the Wii. Really, really beautiful game, really wonderful game. Definitely play it if you can. You don't feel like you have to pick up the PS2 or the Wii version to play it though. You know, it is available in HD on like the PS3, on the PS4, on Xbox One, might be on Xbox 360, I'm not sure, but it is also available on Steam as well, and I think it's on Switch, or it might be coming to Switch, I'm not entirely sure, but definitely pick this game up if you get a chance to play it. Really beautiful game. Alright, yeah, why not these? Another game series I really need to do a Let's Play of at some point is Xenosaga. I have Xenosaga Episode 1, Der Wheel zur Macht. I also have Episode 2, John Sweets und Boss, and Episode 3, Also sprach Zarathustra. Really, really interesting about this, because even though it's a trilogy, they did call it a saga because it was originally supposed to be 6 games. It was supposed to be 3 on the PS2 and then 3 on the PS3. Unfortunately, Xenosaga 2 didn't do too well, so they kind of, I don't know if the development was rushed or not, but Xenosaga 2 didn't do as well as they'd hoped, so they canceled the last 3 of the games, and they kind of had to cram everything into Episode 3 that they could, which is why there's also probably a 6-month time skip between Episodes 2 and 3. But still excellent games, and I really do need to do Let's Plays of this at some point. I should probably look into PS2 emulation so that I can play those games in HD, because there's no chance right now of an HD remaster. As much as I would love it, you know, these games were produced by, they were developed, I believe, by Monolith Soft, which are the people who, I think these were done by Monolith Soft, or the developers who did this went on to form Monolith Soft, who are the people who do the Xenoblade games. But the rights to these games are owned by Namco Bandai, or Bandai Namco, however they want to say it nowadays. So maybe we can get an HD remaster at some point. I honestly don't know. I would love to see one though. I do also have Twisted Metal Black. This is the only Twisted Metal game well, no, this isn't the only one I have, but it is the only earlier one I have. I don't have the PS1 games, unfortunately, but still really, really good game. Definitely if you like car destruction and wacky races and stuff like that. I talked about Tomb Raider earlier. I do in fact have Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness. This one, they rebooted the gameplay. So the previous 5 games on the PS1 all had the exact same gameplay structure and formula and everything, and then this one they tried something different, and it did not work. It worked so poorly that they ended up actually rebooting the entire franchise. Eidos, who was publishing the games and had the rights to the franchise, took it away from Core Design, who had pretty much run out of ideas at that point, really. But they had been the original developers for it, and handed it off to Crystal Dynamics, who are the ones who are still making Tomb Raider games to this day. I also have 13, which is an excellent first-person shooter. It's based on a comic book series, ends in a cliffhanger, which really sucks because we're never going to see a sequel. But can somebody answer this for me? Should I categorize this under T for 13 because it's spelled out, X for 13 because it's Roman numerals, or under numbers for 13 because that's the title plus numerals and everything like that? So I honestly have no idea where to put this on my shelf. I kind of flip between X and T every now and then. The reason why I do the X is because when you're looking at it on the shelf, you really only see the spine, and the actual spine just has it written as the Roman numeral 13. It doesn't actually spell it out like this does here. But moving on, of course, I have Final Fantasy X and Final Fantasy X-2 for the PS2. I really enjoy both of these games. I actually did a 100% complete run of Final Fantasy X on the PS2 some time ago. I've never done it since because the later versions add in a whole bunch more content. And I actually am one of the people who really enjoys X-2. It's kind of an evolution of the job system from 3 and 5, mixed with the active time battle system from 4 through 9. And you can kind of see where they were going leading into 13 for this as well. But I do also have Final Fantasy XII, and I actually have 2 copies of this. I have the Steelbook Collector's Edition, which I got brand new when this game first came out. It was only $10 more at the time. And I also have the Standard Edition, which I actually picked up in the last year as well. And you can actually tell a difference between the discs because the Standard and the manuals, because the Standard Edition manual has the same cover as the Steelbook Collector's Edition. and the disc actually shows, you know, art from the standard edition cover of the game, whereas the standard edition of the game has that same gold cover art on the disc. It's got the bonus disc here, and then it's got a different manual cover as well, which I always thought was a really nice touch to just let you know. That way, if you're picking this up and you end up seeing it mismatched, you know something's going on wrong here. This was actually the first Steelbook game I ever owned too. Yeah. You know, I talked a bit about Hyrule Warriors and Fire Emblem Warriors and my love of those kinds of games. Honestly, the only other like Dynasty Warriors style game I've ever played, though, was the Square Enix attempt at that kind of game, Drakengard. Now, I don't have Drakengard 2, so I haven't played that one yet, but still really worth checking out. If you like the Nier franchise, that actually is a spin-off of Drakengard as well. All right, what else do I want to talk about? There we go, may as well talk about these. So I've got Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty, and Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater. These are the standard versions of the game. There are later versions of the game as well. I don't know if they were on PS2 or not, but there are later versions as well that have a little bit more content, like they have second discs and stuff. But these are just the standard ones. Sons of Liberty is pretty good. Snake Eater is even better. I think Snake Eater is hailed as like one of the best Metal Gear Solid games to date as well. Really weird, though, because Metal Gear Solid 3 is actually a prequel, not a sequel. It's a prequel to Metal Gear Solid 1, not a sequel to 2. So I always thought that was kind of weird that they did it that way. Speaking of another franchise that did it that way, people who have been following me recently know that I did Let's Plays of Devil May Cry in HD and Devil May Cry 2 in HD as well. I unfortunately kind of stopped before I did Devil May Cry 3. I started to record this and then hit a bump with the first couple bosses where they were extremely difficult and I was not having fun with the game anymore. So I kind of took a break from Let's Plays and then came back to the game and finished it in time for Devil May Cry 5. But yeah, I do have all three games on the PS2 as well. And cap off my Final Fantasy collection on PS2, I also have Dirge of Cerberus Final Fantasy VII. Really odd because it's got RPG mechanics. I mean, it is Final Fantasy, but it's actually a third-person shooter and much maligned one at that. It's not all that good or anything, but it's still decently fun. And this game has its fans, especially out of the Final Fantasy VII crowd. So this takes place after Advent Children, which is the movie, which takes place after the original game. So yeah. May as well talk about these now. All right. So I have got sitting over here, I have the full big box with the dance pad for Dance Dance Revolution Supernova. This isn't the first one I had. I originally had it for DDR Extreme before trading that in and eventually tracking down Supernova again. But I do have most, if not all, of the DDR games available on the PS2. I say most of them because I think I'm probably missing a couple of them. But I got like the big ones. I have DDR Max. I have DDR Max 2. I got DDR Extreme, which actually has a song from Silent Hill 4 on it, which I think is really awesome. I have DDR Extreme 2, and then you saw my big box for Supernova, which is when they started. No, that wasn't the first one. It was actually DDR Extreme where they started including iToy enhancement, and then also I have Supernova 2 as well. Again, I think there's a couple smaller ones I'm missing, but these are like all the big main DDR games for PS2. I really like DDR. If I'm ever able to start collecting arcade cabinets, I definitely want a DDR arcade cabinet as well. There we go. All right, so I got Kingdom Hearts Re-Chain of Memories, which is the 3D remake for Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories on the Game Boy Advance, and of course Kingdom Hearts 2. I have done 100% playthroughs of Kingdom Hearts 1. I beat Kingdom Hearts 2 on Proud Mode. I didn't get it 100% though, and I've never really tried this version of Re-Chain of Memories. I've done the later HD remaster though, but yeah, Kingdom Hearts on the PS2. It's really interesting because Re-Chain of Memories was bundled with Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix in Japan, so we ended up getting it kind of on its own here. So it's still really nice to have that. I do also have the original Killzone for PS2. You know, this was supposed to be like the Halo killer of its time, and ended up not. It's not a very good game. I would much better prefer Killzone 2 and 3 on the PS3, but it's not a bad game either. I do also have the Jak and Daxter games. These are from Naughty Dog, the same people that did Crash Bandicoot. So I have Jak and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy, which is the only one I actually like. And then I also have Jak 2, which was subtitled Renegade in Europe. And then I have Jak 3. At one point, I did do a Let's Play of Jak 1 in HD. At some point, I should probably do Jak 2 and 3 just for completion's sake. But I don't really like them. I don't like the shift away from linear level structure to open world. And yeah. Anyways, enough of that. There was a rival to Jak and Daxter at the time, though, along with Sly Cooper, and these are from the people that made the Spyro games. So we have Ratchet and Clank, and I love the fact that all the subtitles for the games moving forward, well, most of them are like puns and double entendres and innuendos and so on, because we have Ratchet and Clank 2, Going Commando, and I think this had a different name in Europe, but I don't remember. But yeah, I love the insinuations of Going Commando, and we had Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal, and then the last straight up Ratchet game on the PS2. There were a couple more. There was Size Matters, which was a port of a PSP game, and then you also had Secret Agent Clank in the same franchise, which was again a port of a PSP game. I used to have Size Matters. I ended up getting rid of it because I didn't much care for it at the time. But they also have Ratchet Deadlocked, which is known in Europe as Ratchet Gladiator. This is, it's intended as an online multiplayer game, like a co-op game, and I don't think it's all that great, but, you know, it's Ratchet, so. And then the final game, what a game to go out on. The final game I have for the PS2 is indeed Shadow of the Colossus. This is from the same people that made Ico. It's such a beautiful game, such a wonderful game. If you ever get a chance, really do play it, especially since they did the remake on the PS4. That is, by far, I would say probably the best version to play. The HD remaster on PS3 is not too bad either, but still really, really good game. If you like epic scale and boss battles and stuff like that, it's a lot of fun. Anyways, that is it for this video. Next video will be PS3 and PS4, so it's probably going to be quite a bit longer because as you can sort of see over here, my PS3 collection takes up like almost 2 complete shelves if you actually crunch it down, and then my PS1 collection is over a single shelf as well. So anyways, that is it for now. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Please remember to comment, rate, and subscribe.